Hey, it's Cindy Angulo, and we are going to be doing feet and balance training. This should be an exciting lesson, and listen up. So get your NeuroBall and your Naboso stuff and get ready to go. Shoes are off. So we're gonna get the NeuroBall, which is gonna help the sensory system of our feet. We're gonna break up the fascia. You're gonna stand on each point 30 seconds. Point number 1 is under the bridge of the foot. Point number 2 is under the middle of the foot. Point number 3 is under your heels. Point number 4 is on the inside of the arch. And point number 5 is on the outside behind the bone on the edge. Next, we're gonna mobilize our big toe. We're gonna use a wedge. You're gonna kind of rock your foot up and down just to get that big toe to stretch, maybe about 10 on each side. And then we're gonna use the blue calf stretcher, focusing on straight knee and bent knee, wobbling your ankles side to side. Do that for about a minute and then we'll get started. Next, we're gonna be moving on to the box. You're gonna get a thin band. You're gonna wrap it around your ankle right as close to the lowest part of the foot as you can. We're gonna saw our knee forward and back, and then you're gonna grab the band with your hand off to the side, and you're gonna rock your ankle side to side, keeping your knee stationary, but try and move your foot. If there's any pain whatsoever, shift to the other side and do it from the other side and see if that gives you less pain. If both sides are pain-free, that's great. And then go ahead and do it on both feet. Make sure your knee is past your toes when you are rocking your ankle side to side. You can also do this on the floor, but sometimes it's easier being on a box. And I'll show you a picture of what it looks like when you're looking at the top of the box, because I use one of the slants on top to kind of speed up the process and give you that little bit of a toe raise so you get a better stretch at your ankles and calves so that you can move better in your squats and lunges. Okay, now moving on to the blackboard. Blackboard is a little wood board. You can buy them on Amazon for a little bit cheaper. It's got a moving heel part. So when the heel part is tipped up higher on the right side, that is gonna be your right foot on the board. And you're gonna work on something called short foot, where you kind of scrunch your foot and make the boards become level. Your foot is gonna rest between the two boards. So when you're ready to switch feet, you turn the bottom of the board around, or you unstick it and make the tall side on the left to do the left side, and you work on balance. Now we're gonna work on ankle movement. We're gonna sit down, put a roll under your knees, put a block between your ankles or between your knees, and you're gonna try and move your ankles in and out. So the resistance is on the outside. I'm trying to C-curl my feet in, and then I'm trying to space them out and push the big toe down and the small toes back. This is a hard pattern, just give it a shot. Do about 10 of them. The next one, I'm gonna lengthen the two bands that are on the rig and make it so they crisscross. And I'm gonna load, instead of loading going in, I'm gonna load going out. The block is there to help me so I don't move my knees, because that is a common error people do, is they move at their knees and not their ankles. And the whole point of this is to create the ankles to move laterally. This can be a fun drill that you can do on a coffee table by tying a band on the legs of the coffee table at home. Here's an example of extension doing this drill. Now keep in mind they get pulled forward, so it makes it a little bit more easy on their abs and not hip flexors. So next I'm gonna work on these shins. I'm gonna be wrapping a band around a dumbbell or having somebody hold it and pulling my toes back, and also working on circles. I'm trying to get a big point and a big pull and break past 90 on my ankle joint. And I'm gonna do about 5 of each position, 5 straight and 5 circles each direction, and switch sides. You'll feel quite a burn in your legs, and again, keep your heel off the ground. And then when you're ready, go ahead, switch over to the other side. Just take note if one ankle is extremely weak compared to the other, or extremely tight, because that's gonna be a telltale that you're gonna have something else that's gonna be going up the chain of your body, and that will yield tight hips, tight back, and tight shoulders on one side of your body. So this is a big one that tends to impact the rest of us. Now the other version of this, and I'm gonna show you the extension one before I switch over. The extension people, again, are connected forward. They tend to use the hip flexors too much, but by connecting the bands forward and pulling at their back and their shoulders, it allows them to keep their abs tight and actually focus on the shin muscle. And here's the example of what it looks like, and then I'm holding the band for the extension. Okay, so moving on. So now we are going to be pointing our toes and doing our calves. So you're gonna point. Now the thicker flat strap is very good because you can actually point into it without having it snap off your foot. And you're trying to curl your toes all the way down to get that peroneal stretch or the top of your shin. Again, you're gonna circle your ankle both directions and just see if you have a smooth circle. And if you don't, that might be the opportunity to create one. Keep circling until you get it. And also working on range of motion, have it pull your toes back, get the big stretch, and then push as hard as you can with your toes and really curl everything down. And just take note again if there's one side significantly different than the other. And again, there's a picture of an extension person doing this, and you can see how they're tied forward, allowing them to sit more comfortably. All right, now the weird one. We're going to be sitting on a chair or something where your knees are 90 degrees. You have a slippery surface, socks or towels. Your knees are going to be past your toes. You're going to wrap. Now I did a soft band with 3 knots and I'm wrapping around my heels so I can work outward. Some people just need to work inward, but I'm gonna demonstrate both. Now, I have a band around my knees because when you turn your knees or your toes in and out, your knees are gonna wanna follow, and that's the thing we're trying to teach how to separate. I'm trying to get it where if your toes turn out and in, your knees can stay in one position. So I had switched the band around, so now it's grabbing at the toes. I wrap it around my heels, around to the front, grab my big toe, so it forces my big toe to stay up, and I gotta work on keeping it down. And as I turn in and try and keep my big toe down, my knees often will try and collapse in. So I'm going to hold my big toe down, keep my toes facing in, make sure it's not just straight but in, and push my knees out. If you have a really hard time with this one, turn your toes in, big toe down, and just focus on pushing your knees out. And again, extension people, I tie them forward to whatever I can in front, so that way they don't dive into the hip flexors too much and they get a better workout. This one is really good because it gets your ankle to be able to rotate properly and have your knee be separate. All right, so now we're gonna demonstrate all the balance drills. So I'm showing you an example of how flexion versus extension people tie in. Flexion people tie from the back, extension people tie from the front. So I'm going to take a thin band and I'm wrapping it around my foot and I'm pulling my foot out and I'm standing on a cushion. So when I'm dealing with feet, I'm on cushions. I'm gonna stand 30 seconds flat foot, and then I'm gonna do 30 seconds up on my tippy toes, and try not to hold on if you don't have to. If there's any pain, you can stop, but just take note of the positions that feel the best. So then I'm literally gonna stay on the same band. I'm gonna take my foot out and put the other foot in. So now it's pulling my foot inward. I'm working my arch as if I had flat feet. So then I'm gonna stand, I'm gonna keep my foot flat. I'm gonna kind of learn my balance and move around. And then I'm gonna go up on my tippy toes after 30 seconds and stay up there for 30 seconds and do the best I can. I can touch down and everything, but again, just working on that toe strength. And then once I'm done with this, then we're gonna switch sides. Now keep in mind, when you're working your feet, you're on a Eric's pad, a foam pad, something squishy, and I'm wrapping the foot. I'm wrapping the foot from the sides, and I'm also wrapping the foot from the inside. Now keep in mind, whichever one I like best is gonna tell me later where the correction is, because I like to feed the problem. So if your feet collapse, you're probably gonna like the ones where your feet are being pulled in. And if your feet roll out to the outside, you're probably gonna do better maybe with the ones that pull your feet out. So we're gonna do 30 seconds flat, 30 seconds on your toe. It's actually quite a bit of fun. And you know, you'll probably giggle a little bit. So now when we're talking ankles, I'm gonna wrap my ankle and I'm gonna do it right below the ankle bone, and I'm gonna stand on slants. Now the slants are 1.5 inches. I'm gonna do the same concept. The only difference is when I stand on the slant, I'm gonna have my foot being pulled out. I'm gonna stand on one version of the slant going upward or downward. Pick one and do again, flat foot for 30 seconds, and then go up on your tippy toes. Then I have a second slant right there, ready to go, facing the other direction, or you can turn the one you have, and you're gonna do the same thing with the same setup and just see if you notice a difference. That's kind of like what shoes would be for us, you know, Hoka's versus Brooks versus Nikes. So just pay attention to which ones feel good and which ones don't. Now, you're looking for things that activate your glutes, things that don't hurt your knees. Those are all telltales. So when you start noticing patterns, like you like a slant that's upward, that is going to be a pattern of something that if you were looking for corrective footwear down the road, what would be the best thing for you? So we're gonna do this. There's gonna be facing down and facing up on right side with the right foot and left foot. Again, we're doing both flat foot for 30 seconds and up on your toes for 30 seconds, unless if you have pain. This is a lot more aggressive. Again, the band is wrapped around the ankle and not the foot now. And we're gonna do it from both sides, and we're gonna do all 4 positions from both sides. So there's 8 positions on this one. You will start to sweat. But again, if something hurts, immediately stop and switch to the other side, because it's not worth it. Since we are adding 2, because we're training, I don't wanna push it too far. Your body's telling you something. All right, have fun with this one. I'll let you watch on and enjoy the music. Okay, now that you've played around, I want to see if you can figure out which one you enjoyed the most. For me, I like the slants going upward towards the center, and I like my ankles being pulled out, and sometimes that might be an environment that I might like to work out in. And over time, these things can change because you're gonna get stronger and your feet are gonna change as we train them. So have fun with that and figure out what feels best and play around. So now we're gonna work a little bit more on balance in the hips. I'm gonna have you standing on the cushion, and we're gonna wrap that same band around your foot, and we're gonna do touches. We're gonna touch in the front, we're gonna touch to the side, we're gonna touch at an angle back, we're gonna touch straight back, and we're gonna do cross behind. Now, if any of these elicit very strong like knee pain, back pain, or whatever, please eliminate that point of touch. So if the cross behind bothers you, focus maybe on reaching in front or maybe to the side. Technically, they all should be available, but doing more of something that hurts is not going to make it better in this case. So I would highly suggest avoiding the movement that started to hurt. You might do it once or twice and be like, nope, that's not it. So we're gonna do this on both sides. The nice thing about the 3D strength rig is you can just grab the other band and go. And again, it's a lighter band, real thin, it's around the ankle, and I'm on an Eric's pad or something, you know, like a foam pad, and I'm just reaching and I'm using my arms to counterbalance. So as I reach, you know, I'm using my arms to swing opposite. So my right knee's forward, my left arm swings forward, and I'm just seeing what I feel. I'm looking for abs and glutes. I'm looking for more stability. I'm seeing what positions I like because those are going to expose my weaknesses. Now, here's the next one. I'm gonna have you grab the band from behind and cross behind. So now you're pulling it into rotation forward. You're internally rotating at that hip. You're gonna start with a couple of those. You can also kind of take it off to the side and do like kind of like a power side step. And then if you need to, you can step over the band and you can kind of do a front touch of your heel to see if you like it in the front. Now, when you're doing the front touch, I want to make sure I draw attention to, before you just touch your foot and bend your knee, I want you to pretend you're sitting in a chair. So the first motion you have to think of is, I'm going to sit down in this chair with my hips back, and then I slowly move my foot forward. This is one you got to be a little bit more cautious on, because this tends to be one that a lot of people may have some pains or aches with. So just pay attention to that and don't lean into the pain and aches. Lean into the things that feel good. Work on full ranges of motion and try and get a little bit deeper movement patterns as you go. Bigger reaches side to side, as long as you're not twisting at your back. If you need to grab a stick or something to hold on to for balance, by all means, but you're trying to focus on foot balance, so don't put too much weight on the stick or whatever it is that you're holding on to, but first and foremost, always be safe. All right, so we're gonna do both sides on that and just kind of explore which ones we like, and each side could be very different because we don't live life symmetrically, so we might have a dominance of pushing out on one side and we like to pull in on the other. But the beautiful thing is, drills like this where you have one leg working and doing all these different touch points is the corrective patterns that we need. And since we just did all the work on our feet, we should be getting a pretty good hip response and some great balance training in the process of this. This is actually a really fun drill. If you want to go back through this one and do it again, by all means, this is a great workout, and I'm sure we'll have some more for you. But welcome to the foot lectures from Emily Splichal and Naboso, and some of the things I've just learned over the years working with my clients, and I hope they make a difference. And please, subscribe to my website and share your stories. I'd love to hear back from you.